Well, I'm working on digital coaching this morning, practical shooting training group for people, I guess, that know what's up. Or it's pstg.us. Anyway, one of the having a conversation with one of the members, and he had a question that I've already replied to. I thought, I'll make a video. So we'll keep some stuff a little bit anonymous, but I think this will make for good conversation. Here's the question. My doubles and practical accuracy are improving, but I'm having difficulty maintaining all of the pressures and cues. When I take a few seconds to set everything up, I shoot my best, but it's hard to keep everything in place over a string of fire. I think the answer is probably to focus on one or two things at a time, but will that really work to ingrain those habits? Perhaps that is the only option, but is there anything else I should be doing for this? Well, there's some assumptions made. I'll explain a few things to make sure you can track what's going on. So we'll call a cue something that I put an input that doesn't necessarily match the output. Let me give you a few examples. Let's say with my firing hand, when I draw the pistol, my cue is to hold my firing hand as loosely as I can on the pistol, because if I don't have that input or that thought, I'll end up cranking down too much firing hand pressure on the gun, and I'll get to the point where at some point I'll have trigger freeze, where I won't quite release the trigger. I'll have to release the trigger, or my thumb will start to move with my firing hand, or maybe like doing pinky pressure and all your fingers just clamp up and you can't shoot the gun straight. Any of those types of things. So for that one, my thought would be relax my firing hand, hold the gun really, really loosely with my firing hand, almost have the feeling of letting go or relaxing my firing hand inside my grip to give me the outcome of relaxing my firing hand. I don't get trigger freeze. But the input I'm putting, or the cue, doesn't really match what's actually happening, because in my brain, I'm thinking barely hold on to the gun with my firing hand, have it super relaxed. Which, yes, it's more relaxed than clamping down as hard as I can, but I'm still holding the gun pretty firmly. So even though I'm telling myself to hold the gun as loosely as I can with my firing hand, it's not what, I'm still holding the gun looser than like clamping down as hard as I can, but it's not exactly what I imagine is happening, or what I'm trying to input to have the outcome be. So that's a cue. So what he's talking about is maintaining all the pressures and cues. Take a few seconds to set everything up, shoots his best, but it's hard to keep everything in place when something more complicated goes on. So we'll just keep talking about grip, because I think it's an easy one. So, well, it's not easy, but it's a simple one to talk about. For example, all right, I'm going to shoot rapid fire pairs. Get my grip the way I like it. Get it settled on target. Not quite there. All right, now we're a little bit less firing hand, a little more support hand. Okay, now I'm ready. So then I start shooting the drill. Get pretty good results. I like it. Let's go. Cool. All right, that was pretty good. Mag out, mag in, whatever. Get it set up. All right, we're there. All right, now do it again. Well, you can see the issues that it's taking me. I'm taking all my time to get the grip I want, the hand pressure, positioning, get it all aimed. Then the next progression of that is I just draw the gun from the holster, and I'll start reacting to the appropriate sight picture, shooting rapid fire pairs. Well, that doesn't give me the prep time of starting at low ready, or starting with my hands kind of on the pistol, get the grips, get the pressures. So then the next step of that, let's say it's a practical shooting event or class fire qual, whatever, then all of a sudden you have in isolation these cues where you think like, all right, hold on to the gun firmly, but less with this hand, or do this with my hands, whatever your thought process is. And then it's tough to just draw the gun, recall that, and have that applied in fractions of a second. Because then I might be shifting around my attention, thinking, all right, make sure I get, my firing hand needs to be up high on the webbing of the beaver tail of the pistol. Don't pull the trigger until I at least see the sights. That's a problem I'll have. So, all right, make sure, yep, all right, I do see the sight. Now I'm good to start pulling the trigger. The gun starts like, oh, yeah, I got to change my focus then to my grip. Make sure you get the grip right. So it bounces around between a bunch of different things is common for people to have. So what I'm suggesting, or what this question is, how do you do this all in real time? Because in isolation, it's not saying any of this stuff is easy, but if you could just do the one thing when you have all the time to prep and just focus on that one task, you could do the thing, but then when you start to switch gears, think about other things, move and shoot, run around, it all seems to go out the window. The answer, well, I think he's on the right track. So his comment was the answer is probably to focus on one or two things at a time and work that to ingrain those habits. And I agree. I think that's the play, because you're just going to use your habits are what's going to actually, how about this? While you train, whether it's good or bad, you build habits. Talking about the grip, I could build the habit that when I draw the pistol, I do 100% of the grip on both hands, gripping the gun as hard as I possibly can. And once I see the outline of the gun on the target, don't need to see the sight, just the outline of the gun, regardless of distance or difficulty, I'm good to start shooting. Just start pulling the trigger. It's going to be okay. Now, you might be thinking, that guy sounds a little bit crazy. I agree. Then I could build those habits, whether it's right or wrong. That's what I tell myself. Go out and practice, and I quickly discover we have some problems. On distance targets, I'm not accountable at all, and I've got too much pressure, so some amount of input, pushing down the gun, having trigger freeze. I can't shoot fast. All right, got to change these things. Well, it's going to be really tough to change all that at once. The process, let's say I've done that for a month or a year or years, or institutionally, that's the way I was trained. I've been doing that for 5 or 10 or 20 years. You're not going to be able to change one habit at a time. So what I'll suggest in your Dryfire training is you just work on that one area. Just work on the grip, draw the pistol, it's a sight picture, all right, holster it. Draw the pistol, work on the grip, holster. Draw the pistol, work on the grip, holster. Do that for 3 or 5 minutes. Then afterwards, I'll work on something else, some other habit I want to change. Like, no, you stupid idiot. Wait until you see the sight. Do not just look over the top of the gun or use the outline. Wait till you see the sight. The sight needs to stop exactly where I'm looking. Okay. So I could draw just to look at the sight picture. Draw, look to the sight picture. Okay, maybe I want to draw the sight picture and then press the trigger. So trying to hardwire in accountability. But while I'm doing that, all my attention is going to go on paying attention to what the sight's doing when I press the trigger. My grip is just going to fall back on my habit because I can't really think about all this stuff at once. Like, what do you want from me? You're asking too much. Because then I can't think about my grip, getting a perfect grip, and getting a sight. It's like, well, which one do you want me to do? Pick one. So when you bounce your attention on your Dryfire training, you work on one aspect at a time, just your grip, just reacting to the sight picture, the way you don't shove the gun hard at the targets. Instead, let the gun float to where you want it to look, your stance, whatever. The possibilities are endless. All you're doing is working to change your habits. After some training, some practice, doing the Dryfire training for, let's say it's 15 to 30 minutes a day. If you're really enthusiastic, for many years, I would Dryfire probably 6 days a week for around 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But a little bit artistic. Maybe you Dryfire 3 to 4 days a week would be really, really good for 15 to 30 minutes. Really focused, like 5 minutes for each of those concepts. In a couple weeks, you will have changed your habits. Now, you might have changed it for better or for worse. We don't know. So the way you test that then is you go to the range and shoot live ammo and just see what the outcome is. When I go to the range, I don't really have much expectation as far as getting better or worse. All I'm doing is just observing what's going on. So I go to the range and work on drills or concepts that are going to work on those areas that I've been trying to change. So if it's the sight picture thing, I need to do something with like a tempo change or a gear change, where I have a close target, a medium, a far target. Maybe they're varying in depth and distance, 3 or 4 targets if I can, and then draw and shoot each one of those with making sure I see the sight and I react to the appropriate sight on each of them. This won't get fixed in a couple weeks because there'll be some little oopsies where all of a sudden now I'm staring at the sight and I'm over confirming, or I just see the color, or I still go back to my old habit once in a while. If I get a bad draw, then my temperament kind of goes out the window and I just start sending it. So it'll be a work in progress. Most habits you can't change or make them perfect in a couple weeks, but going to the range, you're just assessing how things are going. Is it moving in the right direction? Back to the drawing board. I didn't realize I got so worried about just paying attention to the sight picture. Now I'm not even holding onto the gun loosely at all. It's flopping all over the place. Possibilities are endless. But all you're going to do is work on making changes to little concepts or little habits along the way. You go to the range, observe. How does it go? Better, worse, definitely getting better. Keep it that. then take that knowledge back to your dry fire training. Because your dry fire training is where you actually get better. That's where you actually build habits, change habits, make improvements. When you go to the range and shoot live ammo, I'm of the opinion, all I do when I go to the range is just observe what happens. It'll give me observations to take back to my dry fire training, but in the day on the range, maybe you get a little bit better, but it's not going to be a ton. The training at home in dry fire is where you're going to change or build habits. So the goal is trying to build the best habits you can, and none of the stuff is ever really done, because as you get good, you'll wish it was a little bit better. Then you'll see something else you want to tweak. So you just kind of rotate your attention around between all the different concepts or low-hanging fruit or things you want to work on. The other thing I sometimes encounter, or people message me, they want to work on kind of one thing until it's done. For example, like this guy's saying like his grip, he doesn't like it. So you could just work on grip till the cows come home. Then once that's done, you got it perfect, then worry about the vision piece. The problem is most of these don't really have it's all a journey without a destination. So I don't really even know what a perfect grip would look like. I've never seen it. It's like regardless of how good you are, it could always be a little bit better. Same thing with vision. Try my very best to stay target focused. Once in a while, I'll accidentally look at the sight or not look at the spot I want to hit. It's annoying, but I'm human, it happens. Stance, tension, any topic you want to talk about. So it's not like you're ever really, like you arrive and you've got max XP, the skill tree's maxed out for that aspect, and you're going to the next part. It just doesn't really happen. So I think it's best to just kind of pick the lowest hanging fruit you have, or the couple areas you want to work on, and just work on a couple concepts at a time. As you work to change those habits, go to the range, test it, take it back to dry fire, and you just keep bouncing it back and forth as you just keep noticing in your training something else you didn't realize you don't really like, or you wish was different, or you wish you were better at. Then you just take that back and work on it. So you just keep refining or honing your skill as you go. So hopefully that's helpful. Give you something to think about for your training. Not exactly a motivational speaker, but what do you do? If you have any questions, drop it below. I'll do my best to read through all the questions and comments. If I can give you a quick answer there, I will. If not, something like this, I'll just make a video talking about it because I'm too lazy to type all this stuff out. So appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that nonsense. And I appreciate you watching. Have a good day.